boy rode at an easy trot beside him, his visor up, revealing a raw-boned, freckled face in the light from Raniero's illumination spell. "I know not," Raniero told him, "and I will draw no conclusions until I investigate further." "But how could any border wizard work with Varel?" Gavito shook his head in disbelief. "Remember what they did to that village? What was it called? Kessel? Men, women, children ripped apart and eaten? I have evil dreams about it still." He had been Raniero's squire for almost a year now, an earnest 16-year-old with a merry smile and a pleasant tenor voice. He wore his long red hair tied back in a queue. His chin was covered by a thin orange scruff he stubbornly refused to shave. He was determined to grow a proper beard. "Sorcerers!" Ulrich grunted from Raniero's right. A tall, muscular man with an impressive belly, he was a skilled and wily warrior. Yet after 20 years fighting at Raniero's side, his braided beard and long blonde hair were dulling into gray. He would retire soon, and Raniero was not looking forward to it. "All wizards be mad. Years of sniffin' potions and playin' with spells. 'Tis no wonder their wits fly." Raniero lifted a dark brow. "I work spells." His magic was not as strong as that of the border wizards, but he was no powerless peasant either. "Ye be a vampire," Ulrich said, unperturbed. "Of course ye be mad." Suppressing a smile, Raniero flicked a rude finger at his friend. Ulrich brayed his distinctive laugh and replied with a gesture even more obscene. Raniero's chuckle faded into a frown as a feeling of waiting evil brushed his vampire senses. He straightened in his saddle and drew rein as he scanned the surrounding hills. Bakor, his black warhorse, danced in unease as if he too sensed a threat. Alerted, Raniero's men pulled up and peered around. At first, his keen night vision detected nothing but the forested hills that surrounded them, silvered by moonlight and splashed with shadow, until something shimmered in a there-not-there flash that told him someone was moving behind a shielding spell. "Draw weapons!" Raniero bellowed, pulling his own great blade from its saddle sheath as he jerked Bakor to face the threat. The attackers exploded into view. 2 Varel raiders afoot and 1 mounted fighter, all 3 plunging down the hill toward them. Raniero's gut clenched in dread. Though the odds seemed to favor his party, the reptilian raiders were far stronger than humans, and far more vicious. 10 men were not enough to bring 2 Varel down. With a hard jerk of one shoulder, Raniero shrugged his shield off his back and into his left hand, spurring his stallion forward. He had to take the Varel out quickly if his men were to survive. Bakor squealed an equine challenge as he broke into a pounding gallop up the hill. To Raniero's startled rage, the 2 raiders veered away from his charge. Before he could spin his horse after them, the 3rd fighter bore down on him, bellowing a war cry. Raniero swung his shield up to block the other's sword as the horses collided with a meaty thud. His enemy's blades struck the shield so hard, Raniero felt the impact to his teeth. The man couldn't be human, not with such strength. Another vampire. He'd be no easy kill. Behind him, one of Raniero's men screamed, high and thin with agony and fear. The shriek died in a gurgle. Raniero bared his fangs and swung his sword with all his supernatural strength. His foe caught the blow on his own kite-shaped shield, long sword arcing for Raniero's head. Raniero ducked and kneed Bakor aside. The 2 mounts wheeled, slashing at each other with sharp hooves and snapping teeth. Another death scream. It sounded like Ulrich. Fury and grief sizzling through him, Raniero forced himself to concentrate on his enemy, and prayed he'd finish the bastard off in time to save the rest of his men. As she'd been ordered, Amorous hung back on the hillside, waiting for Tanaz's signal. Her vantage point gave her a good view of the fight. A bit too good, in fact. She really didn't want to watch what the raiders' axes were doing to those poor humans. So she